Chukicemo was sick with anger. There were 5 lovely daughters that it doesn't hurt when he put it in his eyes, but 3 of them contracted an unknown infectious disease and died. Why on earth did they die? What disease is it? I couldn't figure it out. The 2 remaining daughters had to be saved. He heard a rumor that a spiritual fortune teller lives in a cave under Mount Hong in Lhasa. Chukicemo was so desperate that he went to see her in person. When he reached the cave, he stopped for a moment and looked inside the cave. "Take off your shoes before entering." There was a voice in the text that seemed to command, and Chukicemo hurriedly took off his boots and held them in his hands, as if he had committed some serious sin. "Come in slowly." Chukicemo pulled his yak horn emblazoned boots toward his chest and made his way slowly. What cave is so long? Holding on to the damp color and examining the invisible floor, Chukicemo went a long way. He was starting to feel anxious. However, the longer he went inside, the warmer and more pleasant the smell became. What does it smell like? A woman with her hair hanging down in 2 prongs sits down. She wears a black eye patch. Blind? Chukicemo wondered if he could save his daughters if he was blind. But there was nothing he couldn't do because she was blind, so he begged her to spare his 2 daughters because he would give the money to what she wanted. She didn't answer. Chukicemo fell to the ground with her hands on the ground. But a soft smell came to his nostrils. 100 yaks. 100 sheep. 100 horses. And get your drums and trumpets ready. She said that the hearts of so many animals should be taken out and offered to God. Where is God? Why do we need so many animals? She didn't explain it, but Chukicemo clasped his hands together and said he would. A few days later, a huge bloody sacrifice took place. Although she was blind, she skillfully played the drum and muttered something. He spread his arms toward the sky and shouted loudly. The heavenly ritual lasted for 3 days. She played drums and trumpets without stopping for 3 days and nights, cut open the bellies of sheep and yaks, took out their hearts, and showed them to the sky. The daughters did not die. A year later, the son of the king of Changsh died of an unknown illness. The king could not sleep because he missed his dead son. The servant said, "There is a mysterious shrine maiden in Lhasa." The king waved his hand and told him to bring her quickly. A woman wearing a black eye patch and a cane came before the king. The blindfolded eye patch depicted a row of moons, stars, and sun. The king asked, "Can you do it?" The shrine maiden was ushered into the room where the body was. The body lay flat in the center of the room. She stood at the entrance to the room for a long time, rubbing her hands together 9 times as if she was ready, and then approached the corpse and began to grope herself. He groped his face and lips with his fingers. Squeeze his thumb and index finger, opening the corpse's lips up and down. Between his yellow teeth, he smelled of worms and insects that were just beginning to rot. Moon began to gently caress the corpse's body, like a lover beginning to fall in love for the first time. She stripped his clothes and stroked his face. She stuck out her tongue full of saliva and licked the corpse's face. From his forehead to his eyes, his nose and lips, his nape and navel rubbed his lips and tongue. She was as devoted as if she had just gotten up to the sleeping prince. "Don't be surprised," she whispers in a low voice in the corpse's ear. Then, like a snake, she folds her body over the corpse's body. Hold her mouth together and hug the body of the corpse with his arms hanging down. Say something in his ear. She pours her warm saliva into the ear hole of the corpse. The king wondered. Can the blind shrine maiden raise her dead son back to life? The shrine maiden said that when she entered the room, no one should make a noise outside or call her. Even if it's a king. The king promised that he would. But as time passed and there was no news, the king could not bear it. He changed his clothes, left the palace, and went to the room where the shrine maiden and his son were. It was a night when the moon was walking. It was pitch black, and there was no light in the room. The king carefully shoved his eyeballs through the crack in the door. He couldn't see anything. Still, the king he didn't pull it out of the crack in the door. He held his breath and stared into the room without blinking. After a while, the outline of the room came in. It was a man and a woman, a son and a shrine maiden. The shrine maiden presses her mouth to the corpse's mouth and blows on it. She keeps whispering in his ear, as if licking it. The corpse wriggles and opens its mouth slightly. Unknown sounds and saliva emanate from his open mouth. Begin to tremble in his arms and legs. The movement becomes intense. The shrine maiden hugs the writhing corpse's body even more tightly and restrains it from moving. Then the corpse begins to twist even more. The corpse's neck bends backwards and white liquid begins to ooze from all the orifices in its face. The shrine maiden refuses to let go of the corpse. Reach out and grab the corpse's genitals. Before you know it, it has an erection and is comforted it began to soar. Grab it, don't let it go. The corpse's body heats up like a ball of fire. The more she does this, the more she clings to the corpse's body and keeps whispering something in his ear. She is reminded that if she misses the moving body, she will die. The day dawned. Dawn is walking. Finally, the corpse's tongue came out of its mouth and drooped toward its chin. It is now. The shrine maiden vigorously bit the corpse's tongue with her teeth, which hung down to the floor. Red blood erupted. The body came back to life. The ritual of the corpse, Rolang, is a ritual of resurrection of the corpse, and the shrine maiden was taught this method by her teacher. Her teacher was Sinlopmukan, and he is said to be a demigod who worships natural objects such as the sky, the earth, the snowy mountains, and the sun. The plateau has snowy mountains that do not melt, and avalanches, mud, and rocks often die from floating down. Unpredictable weather, stark and harsh nature. In such an environment, people had to face the reality of death and instinctively sought something to avoid it.